I'm so tired of micromanaging. How do I train, manage, and lead? I can't find time to be visionary. Head down in the weeds.
Today we're talking about weekly reporting mastery, law firm metrics and analytics in action. We talked about this in Module 8 with the weekly marketing meeting. We've talked about this in the weekly stakeholders meeting agenda. But this module, I'm going to teach you on how to create predictable, sustainable, consistent, employee-driven metrics and how to apply this analytics in there so the data does not lie. My goal is for you to feel so empowered if you're an intake, receptionist, client service team, case management, or the person if you don't have a team, and take ownership of the weekly reporting with numbers, conversions, analytics, metrics, so we know what is working and what's not working. In marketing and intake, in the attorneys in the conference room, not getting engagement agreements, not closing, not my fault. So we have the attorneys' KPIs as well. In addition, where we have breakdowns and holes in the process and production post-engagement. So by now you should be feeling like you have absolute unwavering permission, responsibility, authority, empowerment, excitement to lead this thing. You're at the front of the house getting your butt kicked every day. Your desk is a dumping ground. Everybody comes to you and says, where are we at with this? Why isn't blah, blah, blah? Today we're going to talk about how to create analytics and be anchoring to this to get the emotions out, to get and stay on the path in a data-informed strategy. So there's no finger pointing, no shame or blame, or any kind of relentless conversation and emotions and guessing. All that stops. So you have the weekly stakeholders meeting. You have the daily huddles. Now you have the weekly marketing meeting. You have the ideal week. You have your time template. So everybody in the firm. So now it's about really bringing it all together. Providing unwavering daily, weekly clarity and consistency, because one of my favorite quotes is, the root of all anxiety is the lack of information. Think about that. It's so true. When emotions are high, people are pissed off, they're finger pointing, everything's an emergency, it's chaos, nobody knows what's going on, what have you. At the end of the day, anxiety and fear at the root of that, because we don't have the data and the information, so we only have emotions, stories, and stuff to go on. It's about predictability, and predictability only comes from consistency, and clarity comes from data on where we're at every single week. Most people only look at it monthly. It's too late. We're not hitting revenue goal. There's nothing we could do about it to pivot. And if we do, then we got to wait a whole other month to see what worked, what didn't. So the ideal week, the ideal calendar, and where we are short, not much you can do if you're looking at that monthly. So knowing your numbers based on data, information with tracking, analytics, and reporting takes the shame and blame and weaponizing and finger pointing out of it. So the power of predictability is that we have predictable analytics that I'm going to share with you here in just a minute. And it informs us what happened, why it happened, what we should do next. How exciting is that? You're excited to report this information. Last week, we only had one hire when our goal was 7. Here's why. 60% of the leads came from that private presentation you did, attorney, and 0 booked. They were tire kickers. They may not be our ideal referral source. So I recommend that we don't spend doing the monthly presentation there, or whatever it might be. Our hire rate was 90%. 70% of the hires came from our own workshop presentation. The other 15% came from our referral sources, power partners. And as you can see on the report, Tim, Jean, and Susie are our top referral sources, and they have been consistently this year. So my recommendation is that we 2x that and double down and double click on that and stop wasting the attorney's time with private presentations with that Wells Fargo or that BNI or what have you, because it's just a vanity metric and it hasn't produced anything in the past 6 months that you've been doing it. So let's not do that anymore. And it's a third one we did, and they're not converting. We have information. So it helps us identify what our next right move is. We can pick up the phone and say, to increase our Facebook ad spend for our own workshop. Let's add 2 a month. Let's add 1 every single week. It allows people to anchor to internal integrity. Every single department with this reporting. And the internal integrity has to be pristine for every single person: marketing, intake, client services, pre-engagement, and our hire rate for the attorney or non-attorney salesperson. Once we get hired, post-engagement, the production team, attorneys, paralegals, legal assistants, law clerks, what have you. So the weekly reporting allows us to look at all that. Weekly analytics, and it tells us exactly what's going to happen 6 months from now, where we're going to be 3 months from now, because what's happening today impacts what's happening next quarter. And insights will drive the action and improvements. 2 millimeter shifts, you hear me talking, 1% better, one small step at a time. And attorneys often feel like team members when they're taking the lead and saying, give them the data and the information, tell me where to be, what to do, because they know that you're really owning the analytics and it's data driven. The numbers don't lie. So I don't want you to freak out. I want to show you, ideally, begin with the end in mind, what type of report you're using in your weekly stakeholders meeting. If you remember on that agenda, when the first, 10 minutes or whatever it is, we're doing what's happening, the metrics for front of the house, pre-engagement, leads, conversions, hires, follow-up, all that stuff. But then once we get hired, this is where most people fall short. And they absolutely drop the ball. And then the attorney's waking up at 2:00 in the morning because we don't know if we delivered on our promise. Did we ever get back to Mr. or Mrs. Green that came in? I know they hired us last month, but where are we at with that case? Especially if you don't have a weekly case management meeting. You can kill 5,000 birds with one stone in this one meeting with one report. So I'm going to show you the report of how you can have the State of the Union for the law firm. This is coming out of Lawmatics, Clio, Action Step. Hopefully you're in the habit of attending Open Coaching and Growing Hour for technology and CRM, workflows and reporting with John and Beth every single Friday. They do this specifically for you all, for Law Firm Admin Bootcamp. You should be attending weekly coaching hours with John and Beth Fridays at noon Eastern. It's on the calendar in the back end of the academy. We're constantly sending reminders. They charge $195 an hour. That's a discounted rate for Law Firm Admin Bootcamp. If your attorney was to go out and hire a Lawmatics or a CRM consultant, what have you, I've seen quotes as high as like $10,000 a month. So here's your opportunity to be an everyday hero. You should be going to John and Beth, and with this report, which by the way comes from them, they've taught. You see John in the back end of the academy on modules, client services and intake training, that 9 module. By the way, if you're in those positions, highly recommend you go back and you listen to that in addition, especially when we finish the 12 weeks. That should be your next module, because after the 12-week foundation's done, your learning's not over. You should always be going in the back end of the academy and attending an additional training to enhance your skills and your growth plan. And it will start to make sense when you hear multiple conversations about your craft and your department and your KPIs.
Control freak, it's what my staff thinks. They may be right, because this treadmill of dread running through my head keeps me up at night. I'm so tired of micromanaging. How do I train, manage, and lead? I can't find time to be visionary, head down in the weeds. We're gonna tighten up this operation. We're gonna build a strong foundation. No more chaos and confusion. We'll build a team that brings solutions. I see what could be, and I can't wait. Law firm admin boot camp is the way. We're signing up today. Law firm admin boot camp is the way.